behavior intervention planning, consequence interventions, autism training solutions.
I draw the line and draw your name A, R, Artez, you just drew your name. Nice job, buddy.
The focus of this training will be developing behavior plans from information gathered in the functional behavior assessment. We will be learning about consequence interventions that have been supported by research to be effective for specific functions of behavior.
No, that's not changing.
Don't tell me. I want.
You have multiple personalities problems? Thank you.
To review, what are the functions of behavior? To gain attention, to gain an item or an activity, to get self-stimulation, to avoid a task or aversive situation. Although the look of a behavior intervention plan can vary, there are certain components that should always be included in the plan. The first component is to identify the target behavior that you are trying to eliminate or decrease. Remember, you must give a measurable and observable behavioral definition. We learned how to do this in the last training, Functional Behavior Assessment. Next, you will review your data from the FBA and determine the setting events and antecedent conditions that are triggering the behavior and list them in the plan so that everyone is aware of the triggers. Remember, there are two types of setting events, distant setting events and fast triggers. Then you will list out the function or functions controlling the behavior. This will guide you to appropriate interventions. Then you will list out antecedent interventions, which we learned about in part 1 of this training. Then we will list out replacement behaviors and consequence interventions. The plan should have the intervention strategies written out and operationalized so that everyone can clearly understand how to use the interventions. Lastly, the plan should specify how you are going to measure progress to make sure the plan is working or not working. All decisions that are made in regards to changing the behavior plan should be based on objective data and documentation. You will learn about documentation in the training video, recording and analyzing behavior in the Behavior Management Training Series. There are 3 types of behavior intervention strategies: antecedent interventions, replacement behaviors, and consequence interventions. They are equally important and necessary in the behavior plan. We are going to focus this training on consequence interventions and replacement behavior strategies. What are consequence interventions? When certain behaviors produce reinforcement, there is an increased likelihood that the behavior will be repeated again. If you can remove or discontinue the reinforcement the behaviors are receiving and ultimately maintaining the behavior will decrease. Consequence interventions focus on removing the reinforcement that has previously maintained a behavior. Remember the example of the red stoplight? The red stoplight is an antecedent to stopping behavior. When we stop at a red stoplight, we avoid accidents, thus increasing our stopping behavior. Can you identify what procedure is being used in this example? What behavior is changing?
Good, you got it. Braking and stopping were the observable behaviors in this example.
does it increase or decrease? So we know that it's reinforcement or punishment. What kind of reinforcement? After the behavior of stopping, is something added or taken away?
So stopping increases. Was it reinforcement or punishment? Reinforcement was something added or taken away. Great. The behavior of pressing the brake and stopping increased. The behavior increased, so we know it's reinforcement. And the consequence of getting speeding tickets was avoided or taken away.
Consequence interventions focus on modifying the environment and contingencies that occur after the behavior to increase or decrease behaviors.
Consequence interventions focus on modifying the environmental contingencies that occur blank the behavior to blank or blank the behavior. So they modify the environmental contingencies that occur after the behavior that increase or decrease a behavior. Good job.
Extinction is often used to reduce behavior because it does not involve the use of aversive stimuli. Extinction is simply withholding reinforcement from a previously reinforced behavior. Elizabeth was in 6th grade. After games where Elizabeth didn't win, she would often pout and say that she never wins and that she isn't good at anything. The teachers would often try to cheer her up by saying encouraging words. This never seemed to work, and the behavior continued to occur. The teachers soon figured out that Elizabeth was pouting and getting upset to get attention from her teachers. They decided not to acknowledge her pouting or negative comments. Elizabeth stopped pouting and giving negative comments after only 5 days. In this example, Elizabeth's behavior was being maintained by a teacher's attention. When the teachers withdrew their attention, or the reinforcer, they applied extinction to her behavior of pouting and giving negative comments. What behavior was in need of change? What was the reinforcer for Elizabeth's pouting and negative comments? What was the function of her behavior? How did the teacher withdraw or stop the reinforcement from occurring?
So the behavior of pouting and giving negative comments was in need of change. The reinforcer for the pouting and negative comments was probably teacher's attention. What was the function of her behavior? To gain attention. How did the teacher withdraw or stop the reinforcement from occurring? She stopped giving attention to the pouting and negative comments. Great, you got it.
Although in this example, extinction means ignoring the behavior, extinction does not always mean ignoring. Many confuse this procedure as just ignore the behavior and it will go away procedure. Extinction means different things depending on the behavioral function. Extinction is the discontinuation of the reinforcement of the behavior which has been reinforced in the past. So, if the behavior were attention-seeking, you would Withdraw or stop attention from being given after the behavior occurs.
Extinction is the same thing as ignoring. False. Correct. Extinction is the discontinuation of the reinforcement of a behavior which had been reinforced in the past.
Escape extinction is used frequently in academic and therapy situations. See these examples of how escape extinction is used. Let's visit Miss Wish's classroom to see how she uses the different types of extinction to decrease problem behavior with her students. Artez is an early learner. His teachers are working on establishing instructional control or compliance with him so that he can attend to instructions in the learning environment. Artez has very limited verbal skills and communicates mostly through crying and gesturing. When teachers attempt to teach Artez, he often cries and tries to run away. Watch how Miss Wish uses escape extinction with Artez.
Sit in your chair.
When she calls Artez over to work, she gives the instruction and does not respond to his whining. She gently guides him to his seat. She does not allow him to escape and does not verbally respond to his behavior. She keeps her voice neutral as if the behavior is not occurring.
Here, have the popcorn. Good sitting in the chair. Popcorn.
As soon as Artez is responsive, she delivers a reinforcer. Artez can write words that he likes. Notice that when the teacher gives an instruction to write circle, Artez tries to escape the task.
Aww. Let's write circle. Ready? Let's write it. Let's write circle. Let's write it. C-I.
The teacher does not reinforce his tantrum by letting him escape. She continues on with the prompt as if the behavior is not occurring.
R. E-L. Spell circle. You said circle.
This is Sarah. Sarah's language is blossoming. Her parents and teachers are still working on spontaneous language.
Amy, you got a louder. You got a premium. I did. Cool. Yeah.
Here Sarah's washing her hands. Miss Wish is using incidental teaching with Sarah to work on sequencing with washing hands. When Sarah tries to escape from answering questions, she screams. Watch how Miss Wish uses extinction in response to her screams.
Throw away. Then I throw away. Right. Then I throw away. Then I throw away. Then I throw away. There you go.
This was extinction because the screams did not allow her to escape or to get special attention. Miss Wish carried on with the activity and provided more prompting to make sure Sarah was responding to directions. Directly after Sarah washed her hands, Sarah engaged in screaming and attempts at running away.
Hands up. Did we wash our hands? Yep, we did. Did we wash our hands?
Miss Wish used extinction again by blocking her from escaping and prompting her to respond to directions. Sarah's screams were not successful at escaping or avoiding activities. Over time, if Sarah's teacher and parents use extinction on her screaming by not providing the reinforcement she is seeking, the screaming will decrease.
What's the time for?
In the examples of Artez and Sarah, what does Miss Wish do when they engage in problem behaviors? Provide reinforcement, provide positive punishment, follow through with her demands using prompting, or allow the child to escape the task. The example of Sarah and Artez were both examples of what kind of extinction? Escape extinction.
Extinction can be used on behaviors that have a function of getting positive reinforcement, such as tangible items or activities. Behaviors maintained by gaining access to items or activities can be put on extinction when the behaviors no longer produce the desired item or activity, or when the other person no longer grants access to that desired item. Callie engages in repetitive requests when she wants something.
Okay, we'll go get you a cookie. All right, here you go, that is it.
It drives her parents and teachers crazy, and they finally give her the item to get her to stop requesting and whining. The antecedent for repetitive requests is most likely a motivating operation. Callie doesn't have a cookie. She is deprived of a cookie. Callie responds to this by asking for a cookie. When her request is denied, she asks over and over again. Parents and teachers finally give Callie the cookie so she will stop bothering them. At first, Callie's requests got really loud and even started a small tantrum. But after a while, Callie stopped requesting. When Callie's behavior of repetitive requests doesn't work in getting her a cookie, she will stop using repetitive requests to gain access to these items. Grayson also engages in repetitive requests of saying, "park and swing," during the day. In the past, the request has been reinforced. Miss Wish starts to ignore his verbal requests.
Here comes the dinosaur. Oh, what kind of a dinosaur is that?
This is Artez doing a puzzle. Artez has a special pattern and sequence of doing his puzzles.
Apple. Pear.
When the teacher interrupts his pattern by taking the pieces out of order, Artez is upset. Watch how Miss Wish uses tangible extinction to make sure his tantrum is not reinforced.
Nana, there you go, there's your Nana.
When Callie's mom did not respond to her repetitive behavior of asking for cookies, what eventually happened? Callie fell on the floor and had a tantrum, a self-injury. Callie went and got herself a cookie. Callie said, "It's okay, I don't like cookies anyway," or Callie quit asking for cookies. The examples with Callie, Grayson, and Artez and the puzzle are all examples of what kind of extinction? Oh. Callie, Grayson, and Artez and the puzzle. Probably tangible.
behaviors can also be maintained by social attention. Putting attention-seeking behaviors on extinction means to withdraw the attention or type of attention the child is seeking after the behavior. I'm sure you remember Levi. Levi's self-injurious behaviors gained him a lot of attention. Although there were multiple functions to Levi's self-injury, one of them was for attention. After banging his head or slapping his face, his parents would hold him and comfort him while he calmed down. After the FBA, the behavior analyst coached the parents on how to deliver attention extinction. In most cases, extinction for self-injury is not recommended, but in Levi's case, teaching the parents to provide only response blocking for the behavior and not affection through hugs and comforting words decreased the length of self-injurious episodes.
I know, but this turned into a very fun thing.
You want to chase me? Here, you can chase me.
Let's chase mommy. Let's chase mommy.
See how Levi asks to go play even though he knows his mom will say no? He could be doing this because he knows that after he hits himself, his mom will hug and hold him and provide calming words.
You have to stay inside for a little while. They said you didn't listen to mommy and you didn't stay in your yard.
Discontinuing affection and replacing it with response blocking will decrease the length of self-injurious episodes for Levi. Here is Cameron in one of his non-compliant episodes. This non-compliance serves the function of escaping a task, but these episodes also seem to be socially mediated as well. Cameron, do you want to hold your hands by yourself? No. You want me to do it? No. Okay, then you need to do it. Hold your hands. No. Right, I'm going to help you do it then. No. Here we go. Okay, you do it. Hold your hands. Cameron's mom is nearby, and when he starts to whine and struggle with his teacher, he looks directly at his mom for a reaction. Do you notice what his mom does? She does not react or look at Cameron during this tantrum. She also leaves the room because she probably noticed that his tantrum was having some attention-seeking piece to it. Cameron's mom used attention extinction in response to his tantrum.
Levi's behavior of hitting himself in the face was maintained by mom's consequence of probably holding and comforting him. When Cameron engaged in problem behaviors, mom responded with extinction by walking out of the room. Nice.
The last type of extinction is sensory extinction. Behaviors maintained by automatic reinforcement can be put on extinction. You can do this by masking or removing the sensory consequence. Extinction of automatic reinforcement is most often not the best solution for self-stimulatory behaviors, but there are times that it can be effective. Kai liked to push buttons on toys over and over again. This perseveration interrupted his appropriate playtime. The antecedent for his button pushing was access to a toy with buttons and little stimulation in the immediate environment. Kai responded to this by pushing the buttons over and over. Kai received auditory stimulation from doing this. His preschool teacher had a good idea to stop this behavior. She took all the batteries out of the toys with buttons. When Kai pushed the buttons on the toys, he didn't receive sensory reinforcement that he did before, so Kai stopped pushing buttons at preschool.
Mom, it doesn't work.
How is this extinction? Let's look at our diagram. Before he received auditory stimulation from engaging in the behavior. When the sound is gone, the reinforcement from pushing the buttons is gone and the behavior will stop. When a behavior that previously produced reinforcement now doesn't produce reinforcement, the occurrence of the behavior will gradually decrease to a low rate or completely extinguish. It sounds easy, but in fact extinction is a very tricky procedure that doesn't often work well in isolation. Sometimes extinction procedures are not possible if the person engaging in the behavior can gain the reinforcer for the behavior sometimes. Even though everyone may be trying to implement an extinction procedure, it may not be extinction at all if the behavior is getting reinforced some of the time or being intermittently reinforced. If the behavior is being reinforced even once every 20 times or so, it is on an intermittent schedule of reinforcement, which actually strengthens the rate of the behavior through the variable ratio schedule of reinforcement. For example, if Jill's mom had been putting Jill's food refusal on extinction, and Jill's food refusal started to decrease, then Jill's dad didn't follow through as much as mom did, Jill's food refusal may not decrease at all. Extinction may be difficult to get everyone to follow. Remember Joseph? Joseph would shout out in class because he often got peer and teacher attention.
My dog got shot once.
That's not.
Could you use extinction on this behavior? Could you expect his peers not to react or laugh after he shouted out? Most likely not. Extinction procedures are not always the most effective interventions to decrease behavior for some situations.
It is not always possible to use extinction for a behavior because other people may occasionally reinforce a behavior, thus putting the behavior on an intermittent schedule. Basically, it's being intermittently reinforced because you can't control the fact that other people aren't using extinction all the time. Would it be effective for the teacher to use extinction on Joseph shouting out behaviors? Yes, because extinction can be used on all behaviors that were previously reinforced. Yes, because it's socially maintained. No, because it's never been reinforced before. No, because other kids in the class may still reinforce it. So yeah, probably not possible because there's other individuals in the room and it's going to be impossible to implement extinction with the whole class unless you have them all on the same page with you.
One thing to consider before using extinction procedures is that soon after the use of extinction, the behavior actually worsens or increases. This is referred to as an extinction burst. We might have experienced one in our lifetimes, but may not even realize it. Have you ever used a vending machine, put in the money, pushed the button, and nothing came out? You might get irritated, push the buttons again and again, hit the machine, mutter expletives at it, shake it, and to no avail, finally leaving the vending machine. Extinction bursts produce variability in responding and increase the intensity of the behavior. Extinction often brings out anger and aggression because what the person is expecting to receive or avoid does not occur.
Did we wash our hands?
If it is decided that an increase in intensity or frequency of the behavior poses danger or harm to others or the individual, extinction may not be the right intervention for the particular behavior. You might want to consider antecedent interventions and reinforcement interventions first. Since extinction is so powerful, you must be careful that you are not unintentionally using it by not reinforcing behaviors that you want to see maintain or increase. Claire used to get stickers on her chart for picking up her toys. She had been doing very well, and Mom decided that Claire didn't need stickers anymore. Claire's mom unintentionally used extinction by not reinforcing a previous reinforced behavior. Taking reinforcement away too abruptly may actually cause the behavior to stop. How could have Claire's mom avoided this? Claire's mom could have used intermittent schedules of reinforcement to maintain this behavior. Remember Terry? Terry was online dating Cynthia for over a month now. She finally agreed to meet him in the park. Terry waited for her at the park. He waited, and Cynthia never showed. Terry went home to see if Cynthia left a cancellation email. There was nothing. Terry emailed her to see what happened. Weeks went by and he stopped emailing Cynthia. One day, he thought he would check in again to see if she would respond. There was no response from Cynthia. Poor Terry. Spontaneous recovery is another phenomenon commonly associated with extinction. Spontaneous recovery is the reappearance of the behavior that had previously been diminished. Spontaneous recovery can occur even without reinforcement, but is usually short-lived as long as extinction is still being used. Spontaneous recovery may be an attempt on the individual to just check in or test to see if the behavior might work again at gaining access to the previously gained reinforcer. Kai might walk by the same toy after weeks of it not producing reinforcement. Then one day, start pushing the buttons again just to see if it produces reinforcement. If it doesn't, Kai will stop the behavior again. Although extinction is a very effective way of decreasing behaviors, it should be paired with other strategies, such as antecedent interventions we have learned about in the antecedent intervention training videos, and with reinforcement interventions that we will learn about in this training. The effectiveness of extinction is increased when paired with these other behavioral interventions.
There you go, good job.
When the mother stopped giving stickers for cleaning behavior, she used what procedure? She used extinction. One thing to know about extinction is that soon after extinction has been implemented, the behavior may go through an extinction burst where the behavior will get worse and increase. Great.
When choosing a behavior reduction procedure, reinforcement procedures have many benefits. Reinforcement doesn't have the aversive side effects of punishment and extinction procedures. Another limitation of punishment and extinction is that they don't teach an alternative behavior that can be used to replace the maladaptive behavior. Reinforcement procedures should be used first before punishment and extinction procedures are used.
And it's Gringo. That's right, good job.
procedures we are referring to are called differential reinforcement procedures. Differential reinforcement is a procedure involving two separate behaviors. One behavior is being reinforced and strengthened. The second behavior is put on extinction. Here's an example of using differential reinforcement. If Jill's parents decide to use differential reinforcement to decrease food refusal and increase eating vegetables, they might ignore the crying and pushing the food away and provide praise and a small piece of Jill's favorite treat in response to Jill eating vegetables. If Jill starts eating more vegetables and stops crying and pushing food away, then it can be called differential reinforcement. Differential reinforcement is the most widely known and most effective technique to reduce problem behaviors. There are several forms of differential reinforcement. Differential reinforcement of alternate behaviors. Differential reinforcement of incompatible behaviors. Differential reinforcement of other behaviors. In this video, we will define and show examples of their use and provide guidelines for the effective use of the procedures. Differential reinforcement of alternate behaviors is simply reinforcing an appropriate alternative to the problem behavior and extinguishing the problem behavior through extinction. Here's an example of using extinction on crying, pushing, and grabbing, and reinforcing functional communication to get items.
Hey, what's this one? Apple. Pear.
See how Miss Wish doesn't acknowledge his attempts to get the toy with crying, grabbing, and pushing? She prompts him to use a request and then immediately reinforces his response.
8. Where's 8? Good, you found it. Nice job, buddy. Good job.
Watch here how Miss Wish uses extinction with Sarah when she screams to communicate that she wants to wash her hands.
Wash. You don't have to wash them yet. Let's wait. Mom, I need to wash my hands. Say, I got paint on my finger.
See how Miss Wish calmly blocks Sarah from leaving the paint area, does not verbally acknowledge her screaming, and prompts her to use appropriate language to gain access to the activity of washing hands. Miss Wish combines extinction and a man procedure to teach a replacement behavior. This is differential reinforcement. Differential reinforcement of incompatible behavior is similar to DRA in that it teaches a behavior that is functionally equivalent to the problem behavior. The difference between DRA and DRI is that DRI reinforces a behavior that is incompatible to the problem behavior and put the target behavior on extinction. For example, Artez likes to smash and play with his food before he eats it. The teacher uses a DRI procedure to increase eating his food and decrease smashing it. Watch here as Artez is blocked from smashing his food and reinforced while he is eating with his favorite DVD.
All over the mouth. There you go. Yep, put it all the way in. Good job, buddy. There you go. Alright. Oh, that's he. What is it? Say he. He. Nice sitting, buddy. Nice sitting. Here, have a gummy. Have a gummy. Eat your gummies. funny. Your mouth. Another your mouth.
Eating the food and smashing food are incompatible behaviors. Here's another example. Children can be reinforced to fold their hands in front of them. This is incompatible from grabbing materials or sitting while working.
Nice sitting. Have a piece of popcorn. Have another piece of popcorn too. One, buddy. Good job. Socks. Socks. Wow. Good job. Bust around. Have a popcorn. Good job. Fold your hands. That's fold your hands. Good job, Buster Brown. Ball. 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 Fold your hands. Where's ball? Ball. That's the one. You got it. And spoon. Good one. Nice job. Have a video. Good job, buddy. Nice going. Here comes popcorn too.
DRA is defined as reinforcing a behavior that is incompatible to the problem behavior while the target behavior is put on extinction, reinforcing the absence of a behavior over a specific amount of time, reinforcing an appropriate alternative to the problem behavior, and using extinction for the problem behavior are all of the above. It would be an appropriate alternative. DRI would be an incompatible behavior while the target behavior is put on extinction. Great, good job if you got those.
Differential reinforcement of other behaviors is sometimes confused with differential reinforcement of alternate behaviors. The words alternate and other seem to have similar meanings. There is a significant difference between the two in regards to differential reinforcement procedures. The difference between the two is that DRA is reinforcing a replacement behavior, where DRO is reinforcing the absence of the problem behavior for a specific amount of time. DRO is sometimes called omission training because reinforcement is contingent upon the omission or absence of the target behavior. DRO always uses interval schedules of reinforcement. Most interventionists choose the fixed interval schedule of reinforcement with DRO. For example, David is a student with autism with a great imagination. He has some great play skills and language that can give him access to reinforcing opportunities with his brother and peers. David engages in spitting behaviors that interfere with appropriate language and play behavior and might discourage peers from playing with him. A DRO procedure can be used to decrease David's spitting behavior. First, his mom takes baseline of the amount of time that passes between each consecutive instance of spitting for 1 hour for 5 consecutive days. She found that David engaged in spitting behavior about every 4 minutes and 45 seconds. The data also shows that sometimes his spitting occurred only 1 minute apart. So to assure success in getting reinforcement, mom and his therapist start with a DRO interval at less than a minute. His therapist and mom started at 10 seconds for the first couple trials and delivered reinforcement immediately after the timer went off to ensure success.
Okay, and then when the timer goes off, we get a prunes. Yeah, prunes. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here's a prune. Good. That was good. Nice sitting and you didn't spit. That was good.
Mom and his therapist found a powerful reinforcer that can be consumed quickly for this procedure. For David, pieces of prunes were used.
Turn over 1 minute before bed 10. Set and go. No spinning. I'm gonna bite you. I'm gonna bite you.
David can engage in any other behavior he wants within the interval as long as he is not spitting. If he spits within the interval, the timer starts over.
No, no spitting.
If the timer goes off and David has not engaged in spitting, he gets his reinforcer and praise.
8, 9, 10.
That's good, that's no spitting.
Ready?
Over time and sessions, the time can gradually increase. Mom and therapist can use the timer or a sign to signal David that this is not a time to spit, and he will know that he is being reinforced for not spitting.
Yay, David, good job. Next spit. Look, there's a fruit for you. Delicious.
David could also benefit from an antecedent intervention with this procedure as well. His family could put in place spitting under stimulus control. They could allow him to spit in only one area of the house, or only during certain activities. This might reduce spitting at other times that are not appropriate if David knows that he can engage in the behavior during a certain time and place. His mom also found that David engages in spitting more in the mornings and during times when he is waiting around or bored.
There you go, good job.
Antecedent interventions could include a visual schedule to keep him engaged during downtimes, or using DRA by reinforcing play behaviors that would distract him from spitting.
You ready?
To review, to use a DRO procedure effectively, 1. Measure current levels of behavior to get a baseline of how often the behavior is occurring and how far apart the behaviors are from each other. 2. Set initial intervals lower than baseline to assure reinforcement. 3. Gradually increase the DRO interval by a constant duration, dependent on the learner's performance. 4. Combine DRO and other procedures.
For David's spitting behavior, what DR procedure was used? DRO. When using a DRO procedure, it is important to do all of the following except always use DRO in isolation, gradually increase the interval depending on the learner's performance, get a baseline, set initial intervals lower than baseline. Probably not that one. Perfect. Good job if you got those answers right.
Does this sound familiar? Have you ever parked illegally for only just a minute to come back to find your car ticketed or towed? Have you ever had a really spicy meal that you enjoyed in the moment, but paid dearly for it later? If you have had similar experiences, you have been taught valuable lessons from reinforcement's counterpart, punishment. Learning from aversive consequences has taught us to stay away from danger and has a survival value for all organisms. Punishment is defined as a stimulus that follows a response that decreases the future probability of that response. When people hear the words punishment, they usually think of harsh punishment such as spankings, fines, fees, or imprisonment. This is not the punishment we are referring to. Punishment may be simply asking someone to stop a behavior. Remember Samantha and Stan from the first training video? Stan liked to tell dirty jokes. His friend Samantha didn't appreciate them. She usually wouldn't say anything to him. She would just roll her eyes while others laughed. One day, Samantha had enough. When Stan told a dirty joke that offended her, she asked him to stop telling those jokes around her. Stan stopped telling dirty jokes around Samantha. Was that punishment? Let's put it to the test. What behavior decreased? Was something added after the behavior or taken away? What procedure was used?
What behavior decreased? Telling dirty jokes. Was something added after the behavior or taken away? Taken away. And it was probably negative reinforcement. Oops. Added. Oops.
Actually, pause for 1 second.
Yep.
All right, go ahead.
Punishment is only punishment if the behavior decreases in response to the intervention. Punishment can cause unwanted and even harmful side effects. Punishment may produce lasting emotional and aggressive reactions. It may cause an increase in escape and avoided behaviors that were not there initially. The person receiving the punishment may start imitating the punishment behaviors or deliver the punishment to others.
Good job. Where does yellow go? Yellow.
Each individual that we teach has the right to safe and humane treatment. It is our responsibility to ensure that the individuals we serve receive effective treatment that is least restrictive. Punishment procedures are considered a more restrictive procedure and should rarely be used. Other procedures such as differential reinforcement and antecedent interventions are less restrictive and should be used first before more intrusive procedures are even considered.
Try.
Positive punishment is the addition of an aversive stimulus following a behavior that decreases that behavior. There are two types of positive punishment procedures that we will be going over in this training. Overcorrection is a behavior reduction procedure in which, contingent on the target behavior, the individual must engage in a tedious task that is directly related to the problem. There are two types of overcorrection: restitutional overcorrection and positive practice overcorrection. In restitution overcorrection, the learner is required to repair the situation to its original state and some. For example, Julie is caught putting gum under her desk. So the teacher has her clean under her desk and under all of the desks in the class. The mom who catches her son tracking in mud has him clean up the mess he made in that area and also makes him clean the rest of the floor.
You just trapped it in the house. You go take your shoes off right now, come scrub all this mud off the kitchen floor, and then you can wash the rest of the kitchen while you're at it.
In positive practice overcorrection, the learner is required to practice the correct form of the behavior or a behavior that is incompatible with the problem behavior as a result of the problem behavior. The boy that tracks in the mud may be instructed to practice stopping at the door and checking his feet, then taking his shoes off. 5 times in a row as a result of tracking in mud. Or a teacher may have a boy who is running in the halls towards recess go all the way back to the class and walk back outside. One positive thing about positive practice is that on top of decreasing behavior, it also provides repetition and practice for desirable behaviors. Caleb is in 6th grade and has Asperger's syndrome. Caleb is a very bright boy and attends a regular education class throughout the day with a paraprofessional. Like many kids with Asperger's, he has areas of special interest that he perseverates on. One of Caleb's special interests is the lunch lady or lunch cooks. He knows everything about being a school cook and everything on the breakfast and lunch menu. Caleb tends to ask questions to his teacher that he already knows the answer to. This is usually about the lunch menu.
Mrs. White, what are we having for lunch today?
Of course you know what we're having for lunch today. Why don't you ask me 4 other questions about lunch that you don't know the answers to?
His paraprofessional decides to use a mild punishment procedure of positive practice. Each time Caleb asks a known question, he has to come up with 4 questions he could ask about the topic that he didn't know.
Okay, what are you having for lunch today?
I'm having a salad.
What do other teachers have for lunch?
Usually they bring leftovers from last night's dinner.
Why don't teachers eat with the students?
They kind of like a break when we get to talk to each other.
Where do teachers eat?
We eat in the faculty room. Great, Miss Now you can take a seat. Thanks for those good questions.
When his paraprofessional uses positive practice, it decreases perseverative questions and also encourages appropriate questions to replace them. When using positive practice, the rules of thumb for overcorrection and positive practice are: do not criticize or scold the behavior. Simply explain and direct them through overcorrection using a calm and informational tone of voice. Implement the overcorrection sequence immediately after the occurrence of the problem behavior. Monitor the individual through the process and provide gentle prompting, but do not provide praise or too much attention. Combine this approach with other procedures, such as differential reinforcement and antecedent interventions.
Which procedures use positive punishment? Timeout and overcorrection, overcorrection and positive practice and response cost, or timeout and response cost? The answer would be overcorrection and positive practice, probably because something is being added. In addition to decreasing problem behavior, which procedure also provides repetition of desirable replacement behaviors? Positive practice. Great. Good job.
Negative punishment procedures are considered less restrictive than positive punishment procedures. These include timeout and response cost. Timeout is defined as the withdrawal of the opportunity to receive positive reinforcement for a specific amount of time. Kylie was playing soccer with her brother and a friend. She got angry when her brother stole the ball from her and she pushed him. The teacher told Kylie she had to sit out of the game for a while. After a few minutes, the teacher had her go back and join the game. Kylie didn't push anymore during soccer games. When using a timeout procedure, you must make sure that there is a clear understanding of the contingency. For example, when I push my peers, I have to sit out from the game. There also needs to be a clear distinction between time out and time in. If the place or activity you are withdrawing them from, or the time in is not reinforcing, time out won't be that aversive. You also have to make sure that the individual doesn't get reinforcement in any form during time out, or it won't be considered time out. Remember Zach, who drew in his math book? The teacher caught him and gave him a detention slip. In detention, Zach doodled the whole time. To the teacher's surprise, Zach continued to doodle in his math book in class. Why didn't the timeout work? The timeout of detention gave him access to the reinforcer of drawing. He might not mind going to detention if he is allowed to draw. Some rules of thumb with timeout are: the timeout period should be between 2 and 10 minutes in length. Explain timeout rules to the individual, such as their behavior during timeout and how long timeout is. Make sure the timeout procedure is done consistently. And evaluate the effectiveness of timeout on the behavior. There are different types of timeout that can be used. One is planned ignoring. Christy has nonverbal learning disability. Her teacher set up daily lunch dates with 3 peers each day for Christy to work on her conversation skills. During these lunch dates, she often talks about inappropriate subjects with her peers. When she does this, the teacher asks the student to not look at her and to eat or talk to each other and not to acknowledge her comments.
Pretty well, I think. Yeah, I think so too. Except for a couple problems. I bet it's pretty hard. You guys hate Samantha. She's like so annoying, so prissy, like acting like a teacher's pet. I'm gonna beat her up at recess. She's like bothering me so much. So, do you guys want to play jump rope at recess? Sure. We could use those new jump ropes. Hey, Chrissy, you could join us. Oh, cool. I have some fun jump ropes in. Cool. How many do you guys think you know?
The withdrawal of a specific positive reinforcer is another type of timeout procedure that can be successfully used to decrease behavior. James played with his food by smashing it between his fingers. This makes a huge mess and prevents James from eating his food. To address this issue, his parents taught him to eat with a fork, and then they set up a DVD that he loved during eating time. When James was eating with the fork, he got to watch his show. When he started playing with his food, the show was turned off until he began to eat with the fork again. James' behavior of playing with and smashing his food significantly decreased using the withdrawal of specific positive reinforcement. This is a type of timeout procedure. James's parents combined this timeout procedure with another procedure. They combined the procedure of reinforcement, or the DVD, to increase eating with a fork. Timeout is a more desirable procedure than other negative punishment procedures because it's easy to apply. It's widely accepted by parents and professionals as fair and effective, and it is effective in decreasing behavior quickly.
Which procedures use negative punishment? Timeout and overcorrection, overcorrection and positive practice and response cause, or timeout and response cause? That's probably the one. Timeout is the withdrawal or the removal of opportunity to receive blank for a specific amount of time. The withdrawal or removal of positive reinforcement. Great.
Response cost is a behavior reduction procedure in which the reinforcing stimulus is removed following the target behavior. For example, if a boy breaks curfew, mom may take away the privilege of using the family car. Response costs can be paired with reinforcement procedures that are already in place. Blake, a boy with high-functioning autism, loves to play computer and video games. His parents give him 30 minutes a day of video game time when he finishes his homework. Blake has recently started a new behavior of talking back to his parents. He usually talks back when they interrupt his video game or computer time. His parents decided to combine the use of his reinforcement procedure with a response cost procedure.
Okay, Blake, you can play your computer this afternoon, but when it's time to put it away and clean up the toy room, you need to get up and go clean the toy room, okay? If you don't, we're gonna have to put the boxes on away for the rest of the afternoon.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
All right. Okay, it's time to clean up the toy room. Put your
No,
computer away.
I'm not done yet.
Blake, that's talking back. We talked about, now you're gonna put your Bakugan.
No!
Let's go clean up.
No.
Come on. Okay, let's turn the TV off. It's time to get ready for dinner.
Wow.
Thank you. Good listening.
Rules of thumb when it comes to response cost. Make sure the size or magnitude of the cost is not too big or not too small. In other words, don't take too much away or too little away from them. The fine, or what you're taking away, should be imposed immediately after the behavior. Make sure that the individual is getting enough reinforcement. If there's no reinforcement, you can't take it away. If you take all of the reward away, what are you left with? Evaluate the effectiveness of the procedure by taking data on the problem behavior to see if it's decreasing.
Yeah.
Okay, you have completed the trainings on behavior planning. You are going to need a lot of practice applying these concepts. I encourage you to take the functional behavior assessments that you have completed in training video 2 with Levi, Cameron, and Joseph, and complete a behavior plan for each of them. This will prepare you for the quiz you will need to take on this training. Remember, behavior plans are rarely perfect the first time they are created. Behavior plans are constantly being revised. You will need to be able to track your students' progress to see if revisions to the plan are needed. Good luck!